Okay, it's the last day of the 30-day sketching challenge. We're going to be doing some rendering today to finish off the Isometric Masterclass. So I've already drawn 5 isometric cubes and we're going to put some effects on to make these look like rubber, concrete, metal, wood and glass. So really simple techniques to make these look like materials. So the first one is rubber. Okay, so rubber's a very soft material. If you've ever had an eraser before, you know, for rubbing out a pencil, you'll know that the corners are really rounded. So we're just going in and rounding those corners off. So just like I showed you on the second video, I think it was, of the masterclass. And then putting my edges in, but making sure that they don't touch the corners. So it gives it that effect of it being rounded at those corners as well. And I'm just going to use my fine liner pen to go over them. Like so. Now for speed, because I don't want this video to take too long, I'm going to do the others just straight in fine liner. Okay, but if you don't feel confident in doing it straight in pen, do it in pencil first and then go over it. So concrete. So concrete is like stone. So we're going to make the edges quite jagged. So you can see I'm giving it sort of a jagged, wobbly edge. Like that. Sort of cutting across some of the corners sometimes as well. Putting in a wobbly edge there. Again, just like the rubber one, I'm not meeting it at the corners. So really irregular in shape. And then I'm going in and I'm putting like little C shapes on the faces. And on the one at the top, the face at the top, I've done them really sort of spread out. Then closer together on this side. And then I'm going to make them really close together on this left side here. Because what that will do is it'll give the illusion of there being light and dark areas to this object. So it'll make it look darker on that side and really light on the top. Now moving on to glass. So glass is a very, very sharp material. So we're keeping those lines really nice and straight. So I'm using a ruler for this now. So I don't want these lines to be jagged or rounded. I want them to be really nice and sharp and straight. Now, if we think about glass, it's a transparent material, you can see through it. So these edges that are outward facing here, I'm going to just go over those in my fine liner just like I did with the other edges. But then when we get to the edges that you can't see right now, remember if you were looking through this, if it was a glass object, you'd be able to see those edges that I'm drawing in now. And you can see I'm doing it with like a sort of a bit of a wavy dotted line. So they're your concealed edges. And I'm just going in and putting some reflection lines on there as well. So your reflection lines want to be parallel to the edges of your cube. And it just makes it look like it's a little bit more of a reflective material because glass shines. Then we'll go on to wood. Now, if you cut a piece of wood, you'll see that there are rings where the tree has grown. So each ring represents a year that the tree has grown. So if this was a section of wood, then there would be some rings on one face of it at least. So I'm going to draw in those rings, and I'm taking sort of the edge of the ring up to that edge, or the edges of these other two faces, and then I'm bringing them down and also putting little knots in there as well. You can have knots in wood. If you've ever seen a piece of wood that's been sawn, you get these little knots in there, so I'm putting those in as well. I'm keeping my lines quite shaky and wobbly and irregular. There we go. So that makes it look like wood grain. And then metal. So lastly, metal. This was a little trickier actually, but I'll try and explain this the best I can. So we're making those edges nice and sharp, because obviously metal is a very, very hard material. It's really sharp. So we're making those edges nice and sharp. And metal's a highly reflective material. So there's going to be lots and lots of reflection lines on the faces of this cube. So we're going to start out with some lines that go all the way across the face, parallel to that top edge. I'm spacing out the lines, so some of them are closer together, some of them are further apart. I'm bringing them round to that next face on the right, like that. And then I'm going to do them in a separate direction on that top face, possibly a diagonal here. Now, it doesn't really look like metal at the moment. Okay, you really do need to add some colour for this. So this is one I've done earlier. You can see that I've put in tones of light and dark grey and left some areas white as well. With the wood here, you can see I've gone very light on the top face and then darker on the side that's facing away from the light source. Glass, I've done it all in blue, so it looks a little bit more glassy. Rubber, just the same sort of effect that we did in the first video of the challenge. So there we go. Have a little go at those. Well done, everyone.